Friends, welcome to the Summary Club. Today we continue one of our favorite columns, in which we in just 10 to 15 minutes in no boring language break down literally everything you need to know about each of the world's famous religions and philosophical movements. And today we have a very cool episode. We're going to talk about probably the most ancient religion and mystical tradition in the world: Shamanism. Consider the basic ideas, principles, philosophy, and essence of shamanism, and even give some practical advice. After all, even today, shamanism is quite widespread around the world: Asia, Africa, South America, Europe, and of course dozens of nationalities throughout the far north. You may find it hard to believe, but millions of people still practice shamanism today, sometimes managing to do so even in large and super modern cities. So strong are the echoes of the past, and perhaps those very spirits that ordinary people would be afraid to scare their children, but with whom they successfully communicate in their magical rituals: modern shamans. Although it may be the trivial material benefits that promise contracts with such otherworldly forces, but let's deal with everything in order. And so, let's start at the beginning. It is fair to assume that shamanism in one form or another has existed in almost every existing nation of the world and almost all of history since the appearance of man on Earth. And indeed, professional historians also attribute the emergence of shamanism to the Stone Age, because even before the first man could get fire, he was already interested in the mysterious forces of nature and the ability to control them because he was directly dependent on it. It is also important that people then were more open to nature and communicating with it, and shamanism itself served as a method of merging with nature rather than its subjugation, as modern people are trying to do now. Yes, today, instead of living in harmony with nature, modern man is pumping out all the resources and polluting the environment as much as possible, while people of the past were interested in slightly different things. From the vital and important even nowadays, in theory shamans can answer many questions from the world of the past and the future by entering into a trance state and communicating with the spirits of ancestors and nature. Or perhaps they can simply read information from the surrounding space, like mediums or psychics. In any case, as you know, almost all people are very eager to know their future, their destiny, or to communicate with their loved ones who have already left this world. And also shamans could contribute to a good hunt, good luck in business, and even obtaining material benefits, which are also unlikely to bother anyone. The word shaman translates roughly as sorcerer, though of course this is a later name, so ideally the process of shamanism would be better described as cognition. That is, cognition of the environment and the hidden capabilities of man. Ideally, the essence of shamanism is cognition of the world order, communication and obtaining knowledge from some non-material world. But most often the essence of shamanism is that with the help of some action and transformation, such as dressing in animal skins and performing certain dances and sounds on musical instruments, a person can enter a different state of mind, which in the modern world is called altered consciousness or trance. Theoretically, in this state, the shaman can visit various dimensions and even enter a certain world of spirits and even gods. It is also possible to receive answers to questions that are expected of him by the people of his community or the person who wishes to receive a cure for his illness. Since humans have been living in nature since the Stone Age, of course, such an existence must be harmonious. And in order to live in harmony with nature, people began to deify the forces of nature as a matter of course, to give all its elements, such as water, fire, wind, stone, wood, river, and others, some essence or spirituality, and often to ascribe human qualities to them as well. So the main benefit and idea of the emergence of shamanism was that entering a special state, the shaman gets answers to many questions, such as how to make the weather favorable for the harvest. He can talk to the spirits of your dead relatives, predict your fate, or tell you how to cure some disease. Often one becomes a shaman by lineage, and knowledge is passed down from generation to generation. And yet one of the principles of shamanism is that a person truly becomes a shaman when he is able to enter an altered state and communicate both with the spirits of the area and with the spirits of ancestors and even other dimensions. A true shaman can eventually travel through such dimensions, gaining a transcendent experience. Therefore, the benefit of shamanism also lies in the individual experience of the individual. The shaman usually has a ritual object, an amulet or other object of power, and his or her own skills for entering a trance or altered state. It is believed that the shaman can also help the deceased soul to find the right path, so that the spirits and God himself accepted the deceased. And so, suppose there is some spirit or deity in the invisible world. And in order to communicate with him, or even to enter into the state of a god or the spirit, you need some kind of imitation or transformation into some kind of image. This is where the various things that transform a person into a shaman come into play. These include certain outfits, dances, rituals, and sounds. A shaman using these things and tuning in enters the dimension of the spirit, communicates with it. In addition, the spirit can provide guidance for travel in certain parallel worlds. It is believed that there are also some lower and higher worlds, as well as various others depending on the tradition in which the shaman practices, which is similar to the astral, mental and other planes in modern esoteric terminology. Regarding, for example, a request from the community for its prosperity and well-being, it is believed that the shaman may convey a request or offering to the heavenly gods or spirits. Thus, in the early centuries, the shaman performed the important function of a mediator between man and the forces of nature in the invisible world of spirits unknown to the common man, which was the main purpose and goal of shamanic rituals. Usually a shaman, especially a beginner, has a set of clothes for performing a shamanic ritual. This may be a cloak made of an animal skin or a mask. Some ritual accessories in the form of musical instruments are also used, such as a tambourine, a vargan, or a mallet. What is interesting is that sometimes this ritual a shaman tries to perform before going to sleep, laying down certain information. And sometimes a material sacrifice is required for divination and communication with spirits. It is also not uncommon to use various hallucinogenic substances, which in theory help the novice shaman get into an altered state of consciousness faster. The most famous of them are peyote, ayahuasca, the so-called liana of the dead, other plants with conditionally narcotic effects, as well as various secretions from the skin of poisonous frogs, snake venoms, and the like. Although many experienced shamans do without all this. This is how, for example, in Mongolia shamans communicate with the spirits of nature. The bird is a symbol of penetration into other worlds, and shamans wear appropriate clothes decorated with bird feathers. And they themselves during the dance ritual present the image of a bird and themselves also in this image. It is as if they merge with nature or with the spirits of nature. And the more receptive a shaman is, the deeper he penetrates into other dimensions or begins to communicate with some spirits of other dimensions. In Europe and the rest of the world, this kind of thing is called mediumism, and a person who can communicate with spirits is a medium, although it is not always the same, but pretty close. And, of course, practice. There is an interesting technique that is used both in shamanism and simply in modern psychology, so it certainly will not hurt you and has no direct relation to any spirits, but it can give you a new experience with your inner world and perhaps even a certain soul, if you believe in it. It is said that almost all the geniuses of this world have used such techniques in one way or another for self-development, so you can well understand the essence of real shamanism by her example. It is very easy to start. Shamanic techniques are often quite simple. You can lie or sit to get answers to your questions. The main thing here is to relax your body. Take several deep breaths and exhales and close your eyes. Imagine how golden spirals of energy flow into you on the inhale, and you are filled with golden light. You are completely relaxed. Your brain contains a place called the answer room, where the answers to almost all questions are found. Modern psychology calls it the subconscious. You just have to find a path to that room. This place can be the attic of your house, a forest path, or a distant seashore. You have to find a place that you like, and in that place you have to see the door. Feel a strong desire to be in front of the door and see yourself there, standing in front of that door. Now fix in your memory what that door looks like, its color, and what the door handle looks like, and then walk slowly through the door. When you enter the room, you see upholstered furniture, a sofa, an armchair, as well as beautiful paintings by famous artists, esoteric books, and of course flowers. On the table you see a samovar, teacups. There are also glass doors in the room to access the beautiful garden. Make yourself at home in this room. Here you can also see things you like. Sit comfortably in the room and think about what you would like to learn. Consider each object in the room, pausing at each one. Then clearly state any question you want answered and ask that the answer to that question be given to you within the next 3 days. After that, forget about the question and just sit down in a soft chair Pour yourself some tea, relax, and drink at your pleasure. You must be sure to get answers to your questions. This is essentially the practice of inner self-management and self-knowledge. Further achieving perfection in this technique, you will be able, even just by thinking of the answer room, to get answers to any of your questions, because even modern scientists claim that all information about the world around us is recorded in the human subconscious mind from birth. Otherwise, how else can it be explained that any person in the office of an experienced hypnotist can remember himself even in his very early childhood and possibly some of his past lives, which is also mentioned in a separate but already unofficial branch of modern psychology, such as regression therapy, about which we have also told you in detail. In general, whether you believe in some invisible worlds, spirits, deities, or even just the existence of your personal subconscious, shamanism, in any case, is an important part of the cultural and religious heritage of the earth. And yes, perhaps if everyone became a shaman, such as was originally supposed to be the ideal, the earth would probably become a mystical place, a place of knowledge where everyone could read their own, and even the general world subconscious of the planet as an open book, as well as some information accumulated by things, rocks and water. And even the infrequent use of various intoxicating agents by many novice shamans is not so principled, because almost all of them eventually come to the conclusion that such a connection is possible without all this. After all these rituals and external forms only help to tune in, and everything else, and the most important, is included in the original abilities of any person. However, our civilization has gone its own way, and it is what it is. In any case, this is not a sentence. Whoever wants to and now can find their way, the way that will help to create harmony, perhaps not yet on the entire planet, but at least in their own souls through self-development and spiritual search. And friend, don't forget to subscribe to the Summary Club for becoming more successful, educated, kinder and wiser every day. Save hundreds of hours and dollars spending on boring regular education. Feel free to write your opinions and questions about each video. We read all the comments. In addition, go to our official website where you can find reading materials or watch other videos on channel and links in the description. All the best.